Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Concerned Citizens Media. I was away for a while due to family matters. Thank you again for coming back. So, several things happened during this past week, especially a lot of happening on the war on Russian invasion of Ukraine. So, I will cover the updates on that one. I also have some news on the formation of an investigative body on Ethiopia. Also, OLA operation in a different part of Oromo region, plus other news. Thank you again for coming back. I really appreciate that. So let's get started. March 3rd, 2022. Here are the updates on Russian invasion of Ukraine. It is 1 week now since the start of the invasion, February 24, 2022. The invading country, Russia, and its President Vladimir Putin and other senior officials, oligarchs, and their family members are under unprecedented international sanctions, uh, isolation from global markets and banking systems, visa restrictions, and seizure of financial and other property assets in the United States and around the world. The United Nations passed non-binding resolution on Russia with 141 countries in favor. 35 countries abstained, including Ethiopia, and 5 countries, including Eritrea, in opposition of condemning Russia invasion of Ukraine. So Eritrea joined Korea, Belarus, and Russia and other country in opposition of this resolution. But the resolution is non-binding, but it passed with 141 countries in favor of condemning Russian invasion of Ukraine. More than 1 million Ukrainians fled their country due to this invasion. Hungary, Poland, and other European nations welcomed these fleeing Ukrainians. 16 to 60 years of age Ukrainian males are not allowed to leave the country. They were ordered to get armed and defend their country. 2,800 Ukrainian troops had been killed in fighting. Only 498 Russian troops were killed. This according to Russian Defense Minister. But United Nations Human Rights Monitoring Mission in Ukraine said 752 civilians were killed since the start of the invasion on February 24, 2022. Damage to Ukrainian civilian and military infrastructure were huge. Russia claiming the control of the second largest city of Ukraine, Kherson, and closing in another city, Mariupol. The shelling of the capital city, Kiev, and other cities continues, and the 40 miles long line of Russian military convoys still stalled on the road and threatening the city or the Ukraine's control of power as a nation or as a country. This is just announced about 30,000 Ukrainians on visas allowed to remain in the United States under protected status just approved by President Joe Biden. They will not be subjected to deportation, at least for the next 18 months. So this is a good news for them. So they will not be forced to return to Ukraine because the Ukraine is under invasion now. This is also on Ukraine. Up to 20,000 Ukrainian tourists in Egypt await return to Europe. Arrangements are being made to help as many as 20,000 Ukrainian tourists stranded at Egyptian resorts to fly to Europe. Ukrainian embassy officials in Cairo said on Thursday, adding that many were ready to head to Ukraine to fight Russian forces. The tourists, estimated at between 17,500 and 20,000, are mostly in Egyptian Red Sea resorts of Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada, with some farther south in Marsa Alam. A few have flown out of their own accord, but the embassy is working with Egyptian authorities and the tourism companies to set up return to countries neighboring Ukraine, said the embassy deputy head, Yevhen Zuhupeyev. Lots of them are calling, willing to come back and asking to return them in order to fight Russian soldiers, said Zuhupeyev, adding that the embassy was only arranging return to third countries. Egypt, which has close relations with Russia, but which voted at the United Nations General Assembly to condemn Moscow's invasion, was allowing Ukrainians to stay in three-star hotels for free as long as they needed, Zupeyev said. We are expecting the European countries to give us a green light to receive them. Our allies there are finding the airports which can receive Ukrainians from Egypt, he said. Credit for this one is Middle East Monitor. This is also Ukrainian filing against Russia at the International Court of Justice. Press statement, Ned Price, Department of Spokesperson, USA. On February 26, 2022, Ukraine filed an application at the International Court of Justice, ICJ, to initiate proceedings against the Russian Federation under the Convention on the Prevention and the Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. Ukraine seeks to address Russia's groundless claim that genocide has occurred in the Luhansk and Donetsk oblasts of Ukraine and establish that Russia has no lawful basis to take military action on the basis of those false claims. Ukraine has also requested the ICJ exercise its authority to indicate provisional measures to preserve Ukraine's rights and limit the ongoing and irreparable harm to the Ukrainian people as well as Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity within its internationally recognized borders. As the principal judicial organ of the United Nations, the International Criminal Court of Justice has a vital role to play in the peaceful settlement of disputes. Ukraine also requested the court call upon Russian halt immediately a military action in Ukraine pending the court's review. Today, in response to that request, the court called on the Russian Federation to act in a manner that would allow any provisional measures ordered by the court to have an actual impact. This is another clear indication that Russia must cease its military activities in Ukraine. Considering the gravity of the crisis in Ukraine that has resulted from Russia's unprovoked invasion, we trust the court is taking into consideration the dire circumstances and the rapidly unfolding events and hope that it will act with utmost urgency on Ukraine's request for provisional measures. Each day that Russia is unconstrained in its aggression is a day that brings more violence, suffering, death, and destruction in Ukraine. The United States stands with the people of Ukraine. So credit US State Department. So Ukraine update is the one I mentioned. Also, Ukraine and Russians held 2 times a meeting in Belarus, but no, it didn't stop the war. They agreed on some corridor, opening a corridor on humanitarian ground for civilians. That's good, but their discussion, the 2-time meeting between Ukrainian officials and Russian officials didn't bring a decision to end ongoing war in Ukraine. Okay, the following is a report on Oromo Liberation Army military operation or military communique in Oromia region, southern zone. So it has different zones: southern, central zone, and the western zone. So let's see, southern zone, February 6, 2022. Liban District, Guji. Oromo Liberation Army, OLA forces took action on a convoy or regime forces deployed from Nagelle Borana town. In 8 hours of fighting that occurred in Siminto on the road southeast of Nagelle Borana town, OLA forces destroyed 7 Ural trucks and 1 Zu-23 gun using mortar fire. The regime forces withdrew back to Nagelle Borana. OLA, or Oromo Liberation Army forces, also engaged a second convoy sent from Nagelle Borana town to Ada Kella, killing over 50 enemy combatants. February 7, 2022, Wadara District, Guji. OLA forces took action against regime forces in a place called Danisa, resulting over 20 enemy combatants being injured and 24 being injured. 20 enemies combatants being injured and 24 being injured. Okay, what that means, I don't know. Just mix it up a little bit. February 8, 2022. Bule Hora District, Guji. OLA forces took action against regime military units in Hadama, resulting in over 40 enemy combatants, including Lieutenant Aklilu Tsegai being killed and over 30 injured. Several AK and BKM rifles were captured. February 11, 2022, Wadara District, Guji. OLA forces took action against a regime military convoy in Sokota, Jilde, resulting in 14 enemy combatants being killed and 16 being injured. Adola District, Guji, OLA forces took action against a newly established regime military camp, resulting in over 40 enemy combatants being killed in the initial attack. Later that day, OLA forces destroyed 2 of the 9 trucks, bringing reinforcement to the regime military camp, resulting in unknown number of enemy casualties. February 15th, 2022, Sabah Boru District, Guji, a regime offensive on Sabah Boru District was repulsed by OLA forces after heavy fighting in Darme Barka and Sire Burke. 25 enemy combatants were killed and 33 were injured. Goro Adola District, Guji, OLA forces took action against regime military units moving between the towns of Harkallo and Kilwe town, resulting in 7 enemy combatants being killed and 9 being injured. Abaya District, Borana, OLA forces took action against regime military units attempting to rally in Wadai town, resulting in 4 enemy combatants being killed and 2 being captured. The remaining regime forces withdraw to Dilla town. February 18, 2022, Bule Hora District, Guji. OLA forces drove the regime military out of Hera Lipistu, taking control of a section of the A8 highway connecting Finfinne to Moyale. February 19, 2022, Bule Hora District, Guji. OLA forces took action against a regime military convoy moving through Galana district, resulting in 25 enemy combatants being killed and 31 being injured. The regime military fired several mortar rounds into the surrounding civilian communities, leading to a loss of civilian lives and destruction of properties. Mortar round fired on civilian settlements by regime forces in Galan district, 23rd February 2022. Dugda Dawa district, Guji. OLA forces took action against regime forces in Geled, resulting in 38 enemy combatants being killed and 28 being injured. On the same day, OLA forces took action against a convoy bringing regime reinforcement to Gelede, resulting in 6 vehicles being destroyed. The remaining regime forces in Gelede retreated to Finchawa town. February 21st, 2022, Adola Rede District, Guji. OLA forces took action against regime military convoy in Hadama, resulting in over 22 enemy combatants being killed and 10 being injured. Central Zone. So those are the southern zone. Now Central Zone. February 16, 2022, Gundabarat District, West Shore. OLA forces took action against a regime military convoy moving into Abuna Gindabarat district. Over 103 enemy combatants were killed in this engagement, and several were injured. Several sniper rifles, AK rifles, and 3 DSHK guns were captured. February 22nd, 2022, Warra Jarso District, North Shore. OLA forces took action against regime military units in Adda Ijersa, resulting in 15 enemy combatants being killed. Kuyu District, North Shore. OLA forces captured a regime military camp around Birirti town. Adabarga District, West Shore. OLA forces took action against a regime military convoy in Karkarsa, resulting in 10 enemy combatants being killed and 7 being injured. February 21st, 2022, Gobu Sayo District, East Wallagga. So this is Western Zone. In Western Zone, Gobu Sayo District, East Wallagga. The OLA recaptured sections of the A4 highway connecting Nakamte to Finfinne after defeating regime forces in district. February 22nd, 2022, Bunayo Modu District, East Wallagga. OLA forces routed a regime military offensive from Gute town, destroying several heavy weapons and vehicles. February 24th, 2022, Leka Dulecha District, East Wallagga. OLA forces took action against a regime military camp in Bandira and captured the city after driving regime forces out. Several items of weaponry were captured. So these are the updates on OLA military operations in Southern Zone, Central Zone, and Western Oromia zones. And the credit for this one is OLA military communique under Oda Turbi, Facebook, OLA OLF international spokesperson for OLA and OLF. Okay, this is not good for Abiy Ahmed and his supporters or for Prosperity Party. This is about the establishment of 3-person experts to investigate whatever happened during the war started in Ethiopia since November 2022. So Abiy Ahmed and his supporters may not be happy about this. United Nations Human Rights Council President appoints former ICC prosecutor as chair of the 3-person International Commission of Human Rights Experts on Ethiopia. The president of the Human Rights Council, Ambassador Federico Villegas, Argentina, announced appointment of Fatul Bensouda of Gambia, Kari Betty Murung of Kenya, and Stephen Ratner of the United States of America to serve as the 3 members of the International Commission of Human Rights Experts on Ethiopia. Mrs. Bensouda will serve as chair of the 3-person commission. Through Resolution S33 1 of 17 December 2021, adopted at its special session, the Human Rights Council decided to establish an international commission of human rights to be appointed by the President of the Human Rights Council to conduct an impartial investigation into allegations of violations and abuses of international human rights, humanitarian and the refugee law in Ethiopia committed since 3rd November 2022 by all parties to the conflict. The three-person commission was also asked to establish the facts and the circumstances surrounding the alleged violations and abuses, collect and preserve evidence, to identify those responsible where possible, and to make such information accessible and usable in support of ongoing and future accountability efforts. With the same resolution, the 47-member body mandated the Commission to build upon the report of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights and the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, and to make recommendations on technical assistance to the government of Ethiopia in support of accountability, reconciliation, and healing. The commissioners, who will serve in their personal capacities, were also requested to present an oral briefing to the Human Rights Council at its 15th session in July 2022, and a written report at its 51st session in October this year. So they will, investigate and present oral and written report on what happened in Ethiopia. So these are a little bit biography of these individuals. Fatou Bensouda, Gambia, served as prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, ICC, from June 2012 to June 2021. Bensouda previously held the position of ICC Deputy Prosecutor from 2004 to 2012, having been elected by the Assembly of State Parties. Prior to her work at the ICC, Mrs. Bensouda worked as legal advisor and trial attorney at the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda in Arusha, Tanzania, resigning to the position of senior legal advisor and head of the legal advisory unit. Between 1987 and 2000, she served in successively senior positions in Gambia, including Attorney General and Minister of Justice, in which capacity she served as Chief Legal Advisor to the President and the Cabinet of Gambia. So that is about Mrs. Fatou Bensouda of Gambia, and she is very senior, knowledgeable on international criminal court, and she served in ICC. The second one is Kari Betty Murungei, Kenya, has broad experience in transitional justice process, women's human rights, gender constitutionalism, and governance. Currently a lawyer and advocate of the High Court of Kenya. She has focused much of her work to promote women's human rights in the context of violent conflict. Mrs. Murungai served as vice chairperson and commissioner to the Kenya Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission 2009 and 2010, as the African representative on the board of directors of the Trust Fund for Victims at the International Criminal Court 2009-2013, as a senior transitional justice advisor to the Joint Monitoring and Evaluation Commission in South Sudan, and as a member of the Human Rights Council created Independent Commission of Inquiry for the Occupied Palestinian Territory. The third person, Stephen Ratner, United States of America, is currently serving as the Bruno Sima Collegiate Professor of Law at the University of Michigan Law School. Professor Ratner's teaching and research focus on public international law, international humanitarian law, counterterrorism strategies, accountability for human rights violations, and corporate and state duties regarding foreign investment. He served as a member of both the United Nations Secretary General Group of Experts for Cambodia and the Secretary General's panel of experts on accountability in Sri Lanka. From 2008 to 2009, he served as the legal division of the International Committee of the Red Cross in Geneva. Since 2009, he has served on the United States State Department Advisory Committee on International Law as an expert on international investment in various arbitration. So these are very high-level experts appointed to investigate the possibly genocide and other human rights violation by Eritrean forces, by Fano Amara, by Ethiopian Defense Forces, possibly by TDF and other forces involved in war since November 2020, since November 3, 2020. So it's a very good for accountability and justice for the victims of Ethiopians who suffer under this unwanted war, unwanted civil war. This is US-Djibouti Binational Forum. Assistant Secretary for African Affairs Mali Fi and the Djiboutian Foreign Minister Mohammed Ali Yusuf concluded the 6th annual US-Djibouti Binational Forum today. In this high-level discussion launched by Secretary of State Antony Blinken on February 4, Assistant Secretary Fi and Foreign Minister Yusuf reviewed the long-standing bilateral partnership between the United States and Djibouti and the broad range of security, economic, and development cooperation that encompass the US-Djibouti bilateral relationship. They also discussed areas of collaboration to further regional peace, stability, and prosperity in the Horn of Africa, US State Department. So that will be the end of reading news material. So thank you again for joining me. I have some videos to share with you for today. Then I will conclude the presentation. There we go. There we go. So 3 short videos. The first one is Biden.
6 days ago, Russia's Vladimir Putin sought to shake the very foundations of the free world, thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways. But he badly miscalculated. He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people.
So that is Biden speaking about Ukraine at the State of the Union address.
To every Ukrainian, their fearlessness, their courage, their determination literally inspires the world. Groups of citizens blocking tanks with their bodies, everyone from students to retirees to teachers, turned soldiers defending their homeland. And in this struggle, President Zelensky said in his speech to the European Parliament, light will win over darkness. The Ukrainian ambassador to the United States is here tonight, sitting with the First Lady. Let each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world. Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. His grace, his strong, his resolve. Yes. We, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people. Throughout our history, we've learned this lesson. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos. They keep moving, and the cost, the threats to America and America to the world keeps rising. That's why the NATO alliance was created, to secure peace and stability in Europe after World War II. The United States is a member, along with 29 other nations. It matters. American diplomacy matters. American resolve matters. Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home in this chamber and this nation.
Antony Blinken is also
He thought
there.
he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united.
Okay, that's good. Two more short videos.
A recorded vote has been requested.
Okay, this is a vote conducted on a Russia invasion of Ukraine.
Those in favor of draft resolution A/ES-11/L1, please signify. Those against, abstentions. The General Assembly is now voting on draft resolution A/ES-11/L1 entitled Aggression Against Ukraine. Will all delegations confirm?
So I already reported Eritrea, Korea, Belarus, Russia, I think the other one, I don't know, 5 countries voted against it. And Ethiopia abstained.
The voting has been completed. Please lock the machine. The result of the vote is as follows. The result of the result
Okay, some internet issue. don't know what to do. Come on, man. Okay, okay, some internet issue. I apologize. Never happened like this, but I don't know, for some reason it's happening now. Okay, let me try another way. Come on, man.
The vote is as follows. In favor, 41. Against, 5. Abstentions, 35. Draft resolution A/ES-11/L1 is adopted.
Adapted. Okay, there you go. That's it. So one more video. Okay, this is Ukrainians attempting to block Russians.
Місто сьогодні, завтра і післязавтра буде постійно патрулюватись силами самооборони. Героям слава! Нам поставили умови зараз. Якщо ми починаємо супротив, вони розносять місто артилерії. Якщо за, воює. А що він не хотів вчора? Хто за те, щоб воювати? Воювати! Конечно, воювати!
Нам немає що втрачати, окрім власної свободи.
Okay. So that's the video update. So I'm just say on the closing, this war, the ongoing invasion on Ukraine, will create chaos especially on Ukrainian citizens. The president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, determined to continue his invasion despite international pressure in many directions, in multiple directions, from the United States, from European Union, from United Kingdom, Canada, all other countries, despite the United Nations condemnation, still determined to continue. So Ukrainians will suffer unless he change his mind, and pull out from that country. He is already destroying several infrastructure. Children are suffering, women are suffering, elders are suffering. So unprovoked attack, unprovoked invasion. I hope he will consider before he do other major damage, but it doesn't look like. It doesn't look like. He ignored all you know, sanctions, diplomatic pressures, and all the threats from the United States, from United Kingdom, and French and other leaders. So he determined to continue. It looks like he is on a suicide mission. I think like as you know, suicide. Those who determine to do suicide, they don't care about others. They can destroy themselves, kill themselves, and destroy and kill others. It looks like that kind of mission now. The Vladimir Putin determination. So we pray and we hope for a better change uh, and peaceful settlement. I hope he will pull out, but it doesn't look like he doesn't care all about these major sanctions, global isolation, and he want to suffer himself and his family to suffer, plus the Russians and the Ukrainians to suffer due to this conflict. I hope he will change his mind before too late, but it doesn't look like. And the other thing is I am eagerly waiting the start of the investigation on the crimes committed in Ethiopia, especially on the appointment of these very high-level experts to investigate the genocide, the rape, and other human rights violation, and plus the property destructions by Eritrean forces in Tigray, by Fannos, Amara militias, and militias from around other regions, and plus the Ethiopian Defense Force, what they did in Tigray, and plus after the counterattack by TDF. So I'm eager to, the start of that investigation, hopefully very soon, and we will see who did what, who will be accounted, starting the generals, starting the prime minister and his supporters, plus all these armed militias. Still, they are not slowing down. Still, they want to continue the bloodshed in that country. So that's all I have for today. Thank you again for joining me. Please subscribe, share, like my video, and be safe. I will be back with other news and updates. So long, everyone.